Hi, good afternoon, everybody. Am I audible to everyone? And I would like to start this session wishing all of you all a happy Independence Day with a few words saying that, like, freedom in the mind, faith in the words, pride in our souls, and let's salute the nation. Happy Independence Day. And then let us start our panel discussion today on, as you all know, about the global pandemic corona COVID-19 is and its effect on pregnancy. Today we're going to talk with the experts about the labor, the delivery, and how do we care of the newborn in the era of COVID-19. So here I have an esteemed panelist, Dr. Subramaniam sir, who is the head of the department anesthesia at Rainbow Hospitals. And we have here Dr. Nalini Kant, and he is the neonatologist at our Rainbow Hospitals, and Dr. Jyotsna, the senior gynecologist with us at Rainbow Hospitals.
Good evening.
So, yeah. Hi, everyone, and let's start off with our session today, panel discussion. And I'm Dr. Radhika, and I'm the moderator, and I'm a senior gynecologist and a laparoscopy surgeon at Rainbow Hospitals, Banjara Hills. And coming to the introduction, let us start off with a brief introduction about the coronavirus, which is a global pandemic, and it has adversely affected the whole world, and it has taught many, many lessons, both physically, mentally, financially, as well as socially. So there is more burden on the pregnant women because we are going to deal with two lives, the mother as well as the baby. So how do we go about this corona effect on the pregnant mother and the baby? So coming to the first question to Dr. Jyotsna. So what about the corona and its effect on pregnancy?
So the symptoms wise, if you look at the coronavirus symptoms of fever and cough and shortness of breath or diarrhea, any of the common symptoms that we see in everyone are no different in pregnant women compared to non-pregnant or general population. But maybe here the other concern is the fetus. So we may have other pregnancy related complications like preterm labor or something, but not the disease process is no different in pregnant women compared to other people.
Yeah, but here we need to think about, see, all pregnant women who have been exposed or suspected of coronavirus need not have all the symptoms. Some people may just come with fever, or some may have cough, and most of them, 85% of the people are asymptomatic. Only 5% of them will go into critical symptoms, wherein we need to have a multidisciplinary team management. So how do you advise any specific precautions to be taken during pregnancy?
See, pregnancy is a condition where they say our immunity is slightly suppressed. So there is always a fear that we may be more susceptible to infection in pregnancy, to any infections, and similarly coronavirus infection. So it makes sense to take extra precautions in the sense of using masks in when you are in the presence of another person, and following hand hygiene, following strict hygiene precautions, disinfecting the household, the surfaces, and social isolation to every extent possible. You have help, take help rather than you go outside and do your regular activities. Stay safe. Little bit more rigorously than other people would suggest. Okay.
Yeah.
So precautions.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Precautions which we advise everyone else should be followed very, very sincerely by the pregnant women, and don't miss your regular checkups because there is a coronavirus pandemic going on outside. Take adequate care.
So as Dr. Jyotsna rightly said, we need to take all the precautions possible, what we have to, in fact, in that everything we need to follow. For example, the social isolation, the safe hand sanitization we need to use, wear a face mask, and when you are at home, you need to hydrate yourself, take a balanced diet, take all the vitamins, and more so, keep your mental status as positive as possible, because it's going to affect you, the baby, as well as the family in the whole. Yeah, so do you think there is a transmission of virus from mother to baby? Dr. Nanilikan, can you answer this for us?
Just coming to the mothers to baby transmission, any of the new virus or new infection when as it comes, so we go to the history. So seeing this new virus, it's just a new virus, the precedence virus of the other coronavirus, so all the three viruses like MERS virus, SARS virus, and common coronavirus, there is no precedence of any vertical transmission. Coming to this current coronavirus, COVID-19, which the experience is last 7 months experience, you will see worldwide there is a sporadic few cases only across the different countries. And India, there are occasionally reported cases of transmission from mother to baby, but majority cases we think it is a perinatal. So it is not the vertical transmission of from mother to baby through the placenta, but during the contact period, overall during delivery and peripartum period, during the contact, some babies probably can get infection. So our approach should be careful. But I don't think it is a very common incidence to get a baby can get infection from the mother by vertical route. So there is unlikely, but still chances are there.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. So, like some of the patients keep asking us whether they need to compulsorily test for coronavirus as they are closer to the expected date of delivery. What do you think, Dr. Jyotsna? Do you think we need to do a compulsory COVID test for all the pregnant women?
See, we don't know when a woman might go into labor. So if I test today and you are not expecting her to go into labor in the next 3 weeks, then we don't know at the time of labor will she be positive. So there is no particular time that I can say now is the time you test for corona and it will hold good for a few more days. So we can't have a universal testing policy in place right now. But I would say anybody with even mild symptoms or having had no symptoms but had contact with anybody who had symptoms, we should keep high suspicion and test them when they come to us in labor or pending delivery. I think we have to be more vigilant about their symptoms.
Yeah, so that means, like, we need to individualize every case, take a detailed history, whether they have any exposure, any travel, any symptoms suggestive of COVID, or any family members having COVID, then definitely we would advise them to test. But if they have any doubt or if they voluntarily want to test it, they are most welcome to test it, isn't it?
Definitely. Definitely.
Yeah. So, and if the patient comes with coronavirus positive tested, how do you plan her delivery and the time of delivery? Do you think we can give them a normal delivery, or straight away do we have to advise them regarding the cesarean section?
See, it all depends on at what is the period of gestation, how many weeks into pregnancy she is when she has tested positive. If she is not likely to deliver in the next 4 weeks, I think we can just wait and watch her progress. Most of them have mild infection, so they may go through the infection with no damage done to the pregnancy or the baby. And if they are 39 weeks, then the chance that they may become sick later is there and they are so close to delivery, we may advise a planned delivery, 38, 39. So the method of delivery, whether it is normal or cesarean, should not change because of the presence of coronavirus, but rather the condition of the mother. So is she able to go through the labor or not is one of the criteria.
Yeah, very nicely said. Dr. Nalinikan sir wants to add some points. Can you please start off, sir?
Just I want to say one point here. It is cesarean delivery or normal delivery, probably purely obstetric decision depending on the baby and mother condition. But coming to the question, if the baby it undergoes delivery by normal delivery or cesarean section, what is the chance of transmission from the positive mother to baby? It is equal to whatever 4,800 mothers they have studied. So the delivery process in 60% cases is cesarean, 40% cases normal delivery. The chances of babies getting infection is equal in the normal delivery and cesarean. Coming to the baby side, it is uniform. That's from the perinatal side to the inputs.
Yes, sir. But the basic thing what you rightly said was the mother to the baby transmission is like, will not be decided about whether it is normal or a cesarean section. But here we are in fact thinking is what is the exposure of the healthcare personnel attending on the patient as well. Because when we are giving her a normal delivery, there are many people involved in the labor ward, as well as when there is a lot of pressure on the patient when she is bearing down and all that, there is a lot of aeration in the room which goes on and on. So because of which there could be a contamination of the air, and so the other people, though they are using the PPEs and all that, there is more chance of cross contamination or cross infection, because of which more number of people are going in for cesarean section rather than a normal delivery. But still, we give the choice to the couple as well as to the would-be mother, counsel them, and then leave the decision with them. And we are going with the patient's decision also. So, when actually the other day a patient called up saying that she is positive and she is in the home quarantine package. So, are we at Rainbow giving a quarantine home package, and how is it done, Dr. Jyotsna?
So we from Rainbow, we have formulated this home quarantine package through which we want to be in constant support to the patient who has tested positive, and they should not feel that it is they are isolated and they will not be taken care of by the doctor who has been seeing them regularly. We don't want them to feel cut off from healthcare at their crucial time. So this home quarantine package has been formulated, so they have daily updates as to their condition with a nurse, and the doctor also is being updated about her condition, her symptoms. Is there any change? Is there any worsening? Is she improving? Is she feeling the baby movements? Any new things are coming up regarding her pregnancy which require emergency care? All these things are being monitored, and if a person who is not in labor tests positive, they can opt for this care, so that in case of emergency, they have a helpline to contact and they can get the adequate care at our COVID center.
Yes. So what we have done is,
yes.
Yeah. So what we have done at Rainbow is we have made a special unit for a COVID as a COVID center, wherein we are delivering all the COVID positive patients. There is a team allotted there or assigned there so that they could take care of the baby as well as the mother over there and conduct the deliveries also. So rest assured, the patients are taken care of at Rainbow in a special COVID center. And the at-home package also, we are advising the patients to be in touch with us and see their pulse, BP, oxygen saturation, as well as if they are becoming more symptomatic with breathlessness or restlessness, increased fatigue, they can immediately contact us so that we could help them and in fact assess them whether they fall in the level 1, level 2, level 3 or level 4, and accordingly guide them where to go so that they will be receiving the correct medical management as well. And so now next yeah, so this is the address with where you people can go. You turn positive, and all our Rainbow hospitals in Hyderabad are COVID free, and we have a dedicated COVID center for COVID-19 positive children mothers to be at road number 10, Banjara Hills. And this is our call center number and the visit mail ID www.rainbowhospitals.in. So I think that really helps many of the women who are pregnant and who probably have a suspicion of the COVID positive report, and they can be properly planned for their delivery. So
yes,
another important question is, when we are delivering, Dr. Jyotsna, so are we allowing the partner or attendants during delivery, and if required, they are also being tested?
Yeah, so this current pandemic situation has made it difficult logistically to handle people moving in and out of the labor room, the operation theaters, the areas. So as a policy, we have kept it that right now the patient alone and the laboring woman is allowed into the birthing suite. and the attenders are not being allowed inside. In case the person is very sick or needs assistance, a person was tested positive, negative, and who was willing to care for her can be allowed in special circumstances. But as a policy, no attenders are being allowed inside. And we will
Yes.
be in constant touch with the attendants, and we'll keep updating them about the status so they don't feel that lack of continuity of communication. We will keep them in.
Yes.
Of
Yeah,
the
so very
status.
well said, Jyotsna, because we are communicating with the patient as well as the family members so that they feel more safe at Rainbow, and we will do whatever is best for the patient and the, baby. So coming to Dr. Subramanian sir, so do you think that anesthesia has any good impact or an adverse impact on these COVID positive expecting women? Like in Rainbow, we are more famous because we do give painless labor, and so how do you think this has an impact on these COVID positive expecting women?
Yeah, so basically anesthesia is given, anesthesia is not primarily given, but it's done to decrease the stress of surgery. I mean, you cannot do, for example, you cannot do a cesarean section without anesthesia. So
Yes.
it's to make the woman more comfortable while having cesarean section that anesthesia is done. So anesthesia is not primarily done for anything other than to lessen the effect of either cesarean section or the trauma of childbirth. So we do a painless delivery for any expecting mother, because the labor, which all of you might have attended classes and all are aware, it may last anywhere between 6 to 12 hours in the first time pregnancy. So I think with the modern technology, we can take care of this pain by doing what is called epidural analgesia during labor, which is colloquially called painless delivery. So there is no difference as far as whether a COVID positive or negative mother. So the aim is to reduce the pain and the stress. So one thing I would like to say is any infection, let it be COVID or let it be flu or let it be any other medical infection which a mother has, might worsen with any stress. So a surgery is a stress, a delivery is a stress. So whatever is the illness a mother comes with may worsen during the period of stay in the hospital. So our aim is to lessen that stress. And anesthesia is known to lessen that stress of any, chance of. We reduce the stress either because of surgery or because of the childbirth. So the short answer is anesthesia doesn't worsen any outcome, whether it is COVID positive or negative, and the techniques remain the same, whether a patient is COVID positive or not.
And come. So, what is the role of Entonox now, sir? Because now that some people did say that Entonox is like aerosol bearing, so are we still continuing to give Entonox, or we have stopped giving Entonox because of this pandemic?
Okay, so just I don't know if people know how Entonox is taken. We keep a mask over the face, and deep breaths in and out are taken. And in the best of circumstances, Entonox works only during the early labor. And as contractions become more strong, you have to continuously put a mask over your face, which is quite uncomfortable. It leads to dryness of mouth. You can't talk to your partner, and every 2 minutes you can't keep on putting the mask and removing. So, in the best of circumstances, Entonox, which is a mixture of oxygen and nitrous oxide, was used in very early labor when the contractions once in 10 minutes or once in 15 minutes. As it progresses to a stronger contractions which are coming faster, even pre-COVID times, most women move from there to epidural. So during COVID, as Dr. Radhika said, the way this virus spreads from person to person, as we are all aware, is aerosol. So when we speak, droplets come out, and that is the source of spread. So when you are taking a deep breath in and out of the mask, you are expelling a lot of air, which is more than normal, and the stress, you are grunting because of the pain. So there is more spread of the droplets, even though you're wearing a mask. the chance of this aerosol spreading into the room is higher. And we don't want to do any procedure which increases that chance, because as Dr. Radhika said, it might adversely affect the baby when that baby is born, if there's more of this aerosol going around in the air. So not only for the baby, for others in the room, like the medical personnel. So the general advice across the world is not to use Enterococcus as the pain relief option in a proven COVID positive mother.
Yes, sir. And what about the role of epidural, sir? Are we taking any special precautions for these epidural and spinal anesthesia or regional anesthesia for that matter?
So that's a good question. Basically, when there is labor and there is no pain relief, the mother is shouting, and that produces, as I just said, more aerosols. So if an epidural is given, there is pain relief, and there is less aerosol generated by the mother. So I would actually recommend that epidural is a safe technique, and it also reduces the stress of labor and enables the mother to go through it. So I don't think COVID should be any contraindication or a reason not to take an epidural. And in fact, it may be a better thing to have, because if for any reason you need to have a C-section, you can immediately top up the epidural, and then because it takes time to prepare the operation theatre to make it COVID ready. Everyone has to wear those PPEs and all. It takes time. So if you already
Yes.
have an epidural, it makes it much simpler just to top it up and give the requisite anesthesia. So it is actually a better thing to have it as a choice. Those who are having normal delivery during COVID positive status.
Yes. So what about the general anesthesia, sir? Are we trying to are able to give general anesthesia for these COVID positive patients? Like, what I mean to say is we have to assess these patients whether they belong to the mild, moderate, or severe symptoms, and then accordingly, some people, if they are CORAD 4, 5, and all, they may require a general anesthesia as well, because their oxygen saturation may be falling below 94. So how do we manage these cases, sir?
Okay, so in general, I think everybody should know, especially the lay people, that when the choices during pregnancy for a C-section are what is called a spinal anesthesia, which is very similar technically to the epidural, only that we put the injection in a slightly different space, but it's a similar technique of a small injection in the back. Now, whether a spinal anesthesia is done or a general anesthesia, there are reasons why we do either of these. And as a general rule, in pregnant patients, general anesthesia is, I should say, avoided because of its adverse effects on both mother and the baby. So whether it is COVID or not, we generally avoid general anesthesia, and the same still holds whether the even if the patient is COVID positive. So as Dr. Radhika was saying, if the saturation falls, the patient is little more breathless. Now, after general anesthesia, when you recover, you're more groggy, you're not, and you have pain of the cesarean. So the chance that you are breathing adequately is lessened, and there may be more chance that you might get onto a ventilator. So to avoid all this, it's much safer to do a spinal anesthesia and decrease the risk of increasing the breathlessness because of general anesthesia. So as a general rule, we do spinal anesthesia unless somebody is, it's a very difficult path. We are technically unable to do the spinal, then we are forced to do
Okay. So then how do we prepare our operation theaters, sir? So are we taking all the precautions?
Yeah, again, good question. So when you talk of an operation theater, we have nurses there, we have operation theater technicians, we have the gynecologists, we have the neonatologists, we have the anesthesia doctors. So there is quite a few people apart from the patient there. So we have to, it is our responsibility to see that all the staff are also safe, because they have to serve not only you who come for that delivery, but subsequently other patients. So everyone has to be kept safe. So it starts with the operation theater environment, air being safe. So there is something called negative pressure operation theater. So what the negative pressure does is that whatever air is present in the atmosphere is taken out by a suction, and that decreases the chance of you rebreathing the same air. So Rainbow has got this technique installed. So all our theaters are now negative pressure, so that the safety to the patient, the child, the newborn, and the staff increases. That is the first thing. Second is to prevent uh, any of the staff from getting exposed to the aerosols. So the aerosol come when mother is either straining, talking. So we first make the mother put a mask, and we avoid general anesthesia, as I said, which can also increase these aerosols. And apart from that, we use all disposable equipment, and all personnel wear what is called the PPE, which is personal protective equipment, which is called level 4. We wear, a mask, a shield, full gown, and everything, so that we don't transmit anything to you, nor we transmit what we get from you to some other patient. And whatever is born for this particular case is removed and disposed in the theater before the staff go out. So we do a complete sterile mechanism. This is on par with what is recommended in the best centers in the world.
Yes, sir. Yeah, rightly said, sir. So these are the things what we are doing to make the mother and the baby safe, along with taking care of the hospital staff as well, so that it will not be transmitted to the hospital staff and the mother or the baby. So are we having any different techniques to do cesarean section in these COVID patients, Dr. Jyotsna?
So right now we are following all the precautions that have been recommended, like wearing the personal protective equipment, and as Sir rightly pointed out, patient has to be wearing a mask all the time through the labor, through the cesarean section, and we take adequate precautions to minimize the number of people moving in and out of the operation theatre. Once a team goes in, they complete the procedure and they come out. All the operation theatre is ready before the patient is even put inside, and nothing moves in or out. So all these precautions, general precautions, which have been advocated for corona elsewhere in the world, we are following all those precautions, and taking utmost care of the woman who is positive and undergoing a C-section, in terms of monitoring her post-operatively, because there are chances that in the next few days after delivery she may worsen. Post-operatively, operation or delivery, the stress on the body, and in the existing infection in the body, it can worsen because of the delivery process or the trauma of the surgery and the delivery. So monitoring is essential. She will be taken care of, and the procedure for cesarean will be the same, except that we are not going to use any aerosol generating procedures like my monopolar cautery, all these things. We are going to take.
Yeah. So rightly said, Dr. Jyotsna. So what we generally do is we are taking all the possible precautions from the anesthesia point of view, from the technical cesarean section, from the obstetrician point of view. We are disinfecting the whole operation theatre. We are sanitizing the whole thing and putting all the proper equipment on the floor, on the what do you call, the boils, everything for the general anesthesia. Everything we are covered, and so that the patient will be treated safely, and then the cesarean can be completed very uneventfully. So, Dr. Nalinikant, are the babies being tested after delivery, and the babies are being isolated from the mothers after delivery?
So this is two part of the question. Let's say first I complete the first part. There is good news that the transmission from the mother is less, irrespective of the mode of delivery, irrespective of the gestational age, premature term or late term, whatever the delivery, irrespective of the mother is asymptomatic, symptomatic, severely symptomatic. Irrespective of these all conditions, the transmission rate is less to the baby. But still, we cannot ignore when the mother is positive. So what the protocol says, what we do in Rainbow, on the second day or third day, we do for all the babies RT-PCR, nasopharyngeal swab, not a blood test. From a swab from the nose only, we take from the baby. That's we do for all the babies. Depending on that result of that, particularly the baby comes positive or negative within 24 hours, we decide for the action plan. So how we proceed further. The next question comes, will my baby will be isolated from me? That question depends on the first question's result. The first question test is positive or negative. So we have to ask, now uniformly we know the mother is positive. Now the question comes, baby is positive or negative? If baby positive, mother positive, answer is very, very simple. Keep the mother and baby in the same place, same room, and continue the routine care. Because now the mother is positive, baby is positive. Now question comes, either mother is sick or baby is sick. Isolate, no confusion. Mother is sick, will go to the maternal monitoring with the intensive care service. Baby is sick, will again, irrespective of the positive or negative or extreme premature baby, though negative, still go to the intensive care service. Then again will be isolated. Only one controversy, one part of the question we have to sort it out. The mother stable, baby stable, mother is positive, baby is negative. How to proceed? If you come to our history, what we learn here, in China, everybody is separated. So all the babies taken away from the mother and put into another nursery where the nursing staff given the formula feeding and taken care. But when it evolves to different European country and other countries, people learn the better practice. So what we do, normally we speak to the family, we give them the option. If the isolated to another nursery facilities, the nursing staff can take care of the baby till the baby's result is out and can be the formula fed, or express milk from the mother can be given. Otherwise, with the simple message I want to pass here, SMS. The SMS message what we deal, SMS, so social distancing. If the baby can be kept 2 meters away from the mother, M is masking. If the mother can put mask, proper N95 or surgical mask, and the third S is sanitation. You can use the soap hand wash or sanitation properly, mother is taking care. Probably baby can be kept in the same room with 2 meter distance, because baby is not going to pass the infection to others because of low tidal volume of the breathing. Mother and other surrounding persons can pass to the baby, so other precautions to be taken. So this should be, depends on a shared decision with the discussion with the family. So family opt for keeping the baby in the same room, can be kept with precautions. Family wants till the test result positive or negative, let's baby can be kept in nursery, which facilities already we created in our COVID center. In our COVID center, we have different facilities, nursing staff, warmer, all things are there. We can keep in nursery with the complete care taken care by the nursing staff until we know the result. Or in the same room, mother's room only baby can be kept with all the precautions taken. So probably I think the both part of the question answer. So
yes, sir.
Should I go for this question answer? Next part.
Yes, sir. So the thing is, yes, sir. Tell me, sir. Continue.
Then what precautions do I take not to affect my baby when skin-to-skin contact or breastfeeding? Same thing. The universal precautions or universal measures what we are discussing now, the same SMS formula. A social distancing, skin-to-skin contact can be continued, because kangaroo mother case one of the very, very important step for the maternal and infant bonding. So should be continued. Skin-to-skin contact should be continued. But what to do when the baby mother is taking the baby close to the respiratory tract, to the mouth? The masking should be done, hand washing should be done, but close skin-to-skin contact can be continued. Breastfeeding can be continued with hand washing, with masking. But whenever this contact period is over, skin-to-skin contact, or the breastfeeding is over, baby can be kept in the same room, 2 meters away from the mother. If the mother is positive, baby is negative. But if mother and baby both are positive, then no hindrance for skin-to-skin contact, no hindrance for breastfeeding, routine care, everything mother can continue. So that's the way to probably proceed in this case.
Yeah. So another one point over here, which I would like to add, sir, is, see, whenever the mother is trying to hold her baby, the first thing is she needs to wash her hands with soap at least for 20 seconds, then take the baby, wear a proper mask onto the face, avoid or try not to cough or sneeze when she's feeding the baby. And as soon as she feeds the baby, she should put the baby, as you said, 2 meters away, so that, like, you know, the contact will be, like, you know, skin to skin contact is present. At the same time, there is a social distancing also maintained. So the amount of transmission or getting the baby infected or not infected will be at least minimalized. So I think that should be a take-home message is, like, you know, you have to continue breastfeeding and have to have a skin-to-skin contact for the bonding between the mother and the baby. So all said and done, we are forgetting the fathers or the husbands. So how do or what do they do to, like, you know, avoid the mental agony what they are going to have, because their wife is in labor, the wife is undergoing the cesarean section wherein he is not part of the deliveries, the package, and he's not able to see the baby as well in the beginning. And how do you think we need to counsel the father as well, sir? Anybody can take this question, because this is a very general question. And all of you are fathers, mothers, everything. So how?
I will address this a little bit. Just to give a little background, even today, majority of the hospitals in India do not allow the partner to be there during delivery. Rainbow is an exception. Of course, I'm not saying we are the only hospital, but we are trying to follow good practices by allowing both the parents to be together with the child during childbirth. But as we were following international guidelines and norms, the current international guidelines are to minimize the number of people present with any patient, because we don't know who's carrying what and what you may get from others when you are exposed to medical personnel. So the visitors to hospitals are reduced. So I'm talking in general. I'm not talking of pregnancy
Yes,
alone. So any patient in a hospital, all visitors are restricted, and the number of attendants is restricted to 1. And where it's an adult patient in labor, in all hospitals across the world, now no attendant is being allowed, even in America and in England. So this is for the safety of the husband and the staff around. So we have also followed the same international guideline. And this is the reason why, a partner is not being allowed during either section, or it's just to limit the total number of people present during a procedure which is fraught with some risk, both to the staff and to the husband. So how to deal with that is, as Dr. Jyotsna said earlier, constant communication with the husband, maybe enable a video call of the child to show the child after the birth has happened, and allow the mother and the father to interact with each other at some point after the delivery. All that is being taken.
Yes, sir. That's rightly said. So what we are doing at Rainbow or in the hospital now is, like, before we start the procedure, we are talking to the husband. We are saying that, okay, we are going to start the procedure now. And as and when the procedure is completed, we in fact talk to the father again, give the details of the surgery, give the details of the baby, say that the woman and the baby are fine. At least they could tolerate the procedure well, and there is no complication till then. And then at least they feel happy that everything is going on fine. And so that is how we are able to communicate to them. And then and they're also quite happy with the way we are doing in this particular thing, sir. And
here coming to the neonatal care.
Yes, sir.
Neonatal care, for the if the prolonged neonatal care require intensive care, because of the visiting policy, there's a visiting policy every part of the hospital. But we arrange daily basis a video counseling, so that the whole family member, mother may be admitted, but the whole other family members can see the baby from NICU with a video conferencing or video call. So we share that information in detail, but the restriction visiting policy exists. So the NICU visit we are restricting, but speaking through the video call, showing the baby with the video, and daily interaction with the parents probably will allowing little anxiety in that part.
Yes, sir. So what do you, can you all give at least about 2-3 points, take home messages to the, I mean, people who are attending this webinar, so that they could be, they'll be happy and they go with some messages to them. So Dr. Jyotsna, you can start off.
Yeah. So first things is, you should not have any anxiety about becoming COVID positive while you are pregnant. We are there available to you on video consultations and physical consultations. But if you have tested positive, do not panic. You can always book a video consultation with your own consultant who has been seeing you, and she can guide you through the process of home quarantine. And if an emergency arises during the quarantine period also, you have a support system and a dedicated center which will take care of you. You should not have any qualms about who is going to take care of me, which hospital will admit I am positive. Please don't get into those thoughts. We are there for you. There is a center which will take care of you. And it is possible that a team of doctors is going to manage you, and the same consultant you have been seeing may not be there at the time of delivery. But please rest assured that she is in the loop with all the care that is being given to you, and she will be inputs will be taken from her as to how to manage you, even if there's a different person of the team available when you approach in an emergency. Okay, so I want to assure all the pregnant women not to panic. First, do not panic. Most people have mild or asymptomatic illnesses, and you will get through this without much danger. We are there to guide you through the process. Even if you are sick, we have a support system to manage sick patients, sick women who need intensive care. We have tie-ups with higher ICU setups, and we will manage. Please do not worry. That is what
Yeah.
I want to tell the pregnant women out there.
So regarding anesthesia, I want to reassure, just like Dr. Jyotsna, that see, in general, I mean, I think all of you have been reading in the press that those who are unfortunately succumbing to disease are either elderly or have comorbidities or have other medical problems. Now, you hardly come across any pregnant patient, succumbing to this disease. World over, God has been very kind to both children and pregnant women. So we have not had bad outcomes in general. The bad outcomes are extremely low in a pregnant mother as well as even if the child turns positive. So that is a message that just because you're positive, you don't need to be scared. The outcomes are very good. And even in our sector, we've done a significant number of cases. We've not had any bad outcomes. So just rest assured that don't hide any symptoms from the doctors. Please be clear and express what all you have. You'll get the same care, but it's better we know what all you have so that we can manage you better. So it's not a good thing to hide anything from your treating medical.
Yes, sir. They're very rightly said, sir. Nalinikanth, sir, there is one question from the audience. They said, are newborn babies susceptible for COVID?
Yeah, that question is a message also. So here, no need to be panicky, no need to be worried. Whatever the incidence of newborn corona is very, very less. Even though mother is positive, the chance of transmission is very low. Even the baby gets an infection. The infection is majority cases, almost 96-97% cases, very mild, recovers without any treatment, unlikely adult, where the treatment, even preventive or treatment required. Here it is nothing required, asymptomatic babies, they recover quickly. So chances are there, they are prone, but very, very low chances of infection, low chance of transmission from mother to baby. If they get infection also, they will be quite stable. So routine care can be continued. And particularly coming to our facilities, we are a dedicated team. We are available in neonatal facilities. So even the preterm care and any type of service, we are there giving during resuscitation and for the neonatal care. The Rainbow COVID Center, all the facilities are there to continue. But one thing to assure, world over, last 7 months, whatever the experience of the so many hundreds of newborn babies, they all did well. That's the one thing. If they got infection also, they recover quickly, shortly within 1 week of life.
Yes, but another thing is, are we doing routine retesting for these COVID positive patients? Once they are positive, after 14 days, are we repeating it, sir? Our repeat test is required.
Is it for adults or babies you're asking?
Adult, sir, adult.
So the current recommendation is you need not test that the disease has gone. So once you test positive, in fact, ICMR current guidelines is after 10 or 11 days, you can start mixing with other people. There is no need to retest that you are negative. It is assumed that you are negative after 2 weeks.
Yes, sir. So what in fact the ICMR guideline also says is, like after about 3 weeks of COVID positive, once we do the IgG antibody testing, and if that is positive, this person can be used even for as a plasma donor. So whoever is COVID positive, please don't shy away. Give your details to the government of India so that you can help another person live, because the plasma donation is something like an organ donation. And I think you'll be saving many, many lives if you donate the plasma, and nothing is going to happen to you or to your family if you donate the plasma. And that is in fact very, very recommended, act from every human being, at least at this point of COVID pandemic. So, so what is the discharge advice, what we're going to give the mother and the babies? So Jyotsna, Dr. Jyotsna, tell us what discharge advice you want to give the mother.
The mother is Dr. Radhika. I would suggest that she should follow all the precautions as mentioned by Dr. Nalini Khan while taking care of the baby. And we are in coordination with a physician who is going to advise her regarding the care of, completely with respect to coronavirus disease. We are going to give her the medication as advised by a physician, any supplements or medication in terms of antivirals or further treatment according to the physician's advice. And pregnancy care, post-delivery care will be as usual that we advise for everybody else. She will have to be taken care of regarding the sutures, the stitches that we have put during the normal delivery or a cesarean section. We can also have a video consultation to look at the stitches if possible, if she's unable to make it to the hospital. Or we can provide that kind of support either online or in physical in-person visits also. But the first, we will do it in consultation with the physician.
Yes, very rightly said. It's not different from the normal pregnancy. And in fact, once they deliver and have a baby in their hands, all the negative thoughts would go away. They become more positive. And but here we need to really stress on the positivity, because postnatal depression is quite common in these women, because they have an antenatal anxiety situation and followed by a postnatal depression. So we need to counsel them so that they don't go into that phase. So the positive atmosphere, the positive talk, the positive counseling is very, very important to these women. Right. Okay. And what about you, sir? Do you want to say anything else for the baby at any point? And
so baby regarding, if a baby is negative on day 2 or day 3, probably no special care required, and they do the follow-up normally. Normal postnatal care only required, feeding, jaundice checkup, all things like goes normally. The vaccination follows normally. But if positive, we follow at least with the home quarantine with a video consultation. Next 7 days, we follow 2 to 3 days interval once we follow the baby, and we call for the routine care. Again, we see the hospital facilities, we see for the jaundice and the other fitting assessment we do. So no different care at home. If the mother is positive, baby positive, no special care, again they can continue, and after 5 to 7 days they can repeat the testing of the baby and mother. But if the baby is negative, just till the mother comes negative, the report, the baby and mother both are the same room, same care, probably they comfortably do the routine baby care once the mother becomes negative. Till that time, little they can because all the precautions they can take, the distancing, masking, everything. But now the controversy is asymptomatic mother, why to repeat after 10 to 14 days? Because we know the infectious automatically decreases by 10 to 14 days. So no routine testing required. After 10 to 14 days, normal care can be continued postnatal care. That's suggestion. Probably no special requirement for the postnatal care of the baby.
So what about the vaccinations, sir? If the baby is COVID negative, are we giving the vaccinations as before, or is there any change in the timing of vaccinations for these babies?
Baby, if you are negative, the birth vaccine on the day negative easy, because day 1 we give first day before knowing the report only. So first day it goes, because second day or third day we do the RT-PCR. And the day 1 only give the BCG, hepatitis B, polio. It goes the first day vaccination. No change in the positive or negative. If the baby comes positive, 6 weeks we have to defer the vaccination, but the vaccination comes, next vaccination comes at 6 to 8 weeks only. So we can give the routine vaccination 6 to 8 weeks. So majority time, no alteration. There is no alteration of the in positive or negative cases.
Yes, sir. So I think we have covered quite a bit of labor, delivery, as well as the neonatal management in this panel discussion. I thank all the panelists for their input, and thank you very much, everybody, for joining this session. Thank you, sir. Thank you, madam.
Thank you.
Dr. Radhika.
Thank you.